In today's age of information and accessibility, discussions about sexual habits, particularly masturbation, often reflect a wide spectrum of opinions. While many see it as a normal and healthy activity, there are underlying consequences that remain hidden to most. Drawing from both scientific evidence and ancient Stoic philosophy, it becomes clear that certain habitual behaviors, like masturbation, can detract from one's capacity to lead a fulfilled life. In this video, we will delve into why you should reconsider frequent masturbation, how Stoic teachings guide us in managing our desires, and the pathway to mastering control over oneself. Number 1. Understanding the science behind masturbation. Modern medicine acknowledges that masturbation is a natural act, commonly observed not only in humans but in other mammals like dogs. The French Institute of Health and Medical Research has studied its effects, particularly noting how male sexual activity influences brain chemistry. Following orgasm, the male brain releases dopamine, the feel-good hormone responsible for relaxation and pleasure. This release of dopamine provides a sense of calm and stress relief, and often leads to a state of physical exhaustion, which is why many men experience sleepiness post-orgasm. However, while the immediate effects of dopamine release may appear harmless or even beneficial, they mask a potentially dangerous cycle. Repeatedly indulging in activities that release high levels of dopamine can lead to dependence. In fact, hypersexuality disorder, a condition recognized by the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, classifies excessive masturbation as a type of obsessive-compulsive behavior. This compulsion stems from the brain's increasing demand for the same dopamine surge, leading individuals down a path where they seek out this reward repeatedly, often to the detriment of their physical, emotional, and relational well-being. Number 2. The hidden trap: dopamine and addiction. As with many addictions, the pursuit of dopamine can become all-consuming. Each time you masturbate, your brain becomes accustomed to the dopamine reward, and over time, it requires more and more stimulation to achieve the same level of satisfaction. This creates a cycle where the brain, starved of its dopamine fix, pushes you to seek more frequent and intense methods of pleasure. What once may have been a once-in-a-while indulgence can escalate into an uncontrollable urge, leading individuals toward problematic behaviors like excessive pornography consumption, casual sexual encounters, or even engaging with sex workers. At a certain point, the brain starts to push back. To protect itself from the overwhelming rush of dopamine, the brain reduces the number of dopamine receptors, meaning that even when you engage in the pleasurable activity, you may no longer feel the same level of satisfaction. This leads to frustration, as the act itself no longer delivers the desired reward, but the compulsion to keep pursuing it remains strong. Number 3. Stoicism and self-mastery. This is where Stoic philosophy offers invaluable insights. The ancient Stoics, such as Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, and Epictetus, were masters of self-control, teaching that real freedom comes not from indulging every desire but from mastering them. Stoicism emphasizes distinguishing between what is within our control, our thoughts, actions, and desires, and what is outside of our control, external events, other people's opinions, etc. In this context, compulsive masturbation represents a loss of control over one's desires, allowing the pursuit of fleeting pleasures to dominate one's life. The Stoics would argue that the pleasure derived from masturbation is superficial and transient, and it distracts from the pursuit of higher, more meaningful goals. Epicurus, often associated with the pursuit of pleasure, actually taught that true happiness comes not from indulging in every whim but from exercising self-control and finding contentment in simplicity. The Stoic approach to life is not about repressing desires, but rather understanding and mastering them so they don't control us. Number 4. Stoicism and the consequences of indulging in desire. From the Stoic perspective, every action has consequences, not only for the individual but also for the natural order of the universe. When we allow ourselves to be consumed by compulsive behaviors, such as frequent masturbation, we disrupt our inner harmony and lose connection with the Stoic ideal of eudaimonia, or flourishing. The Stoics teach that true contentment comes from living in accordance with nature, which means maintaining balance and exercising reason in all aspects of life. Compulsive behaviors, like excessive masturbation, often lead to negative emotional states such as guilt, shame, and dissatisfaction. These emotions create a feedback loop, causing further distress and reinforcing the compulsive behavior. The Stoics, however, encourage us to face our emotions head-on, not by suppressing them, but by understanding their root causes and learning to manage them constructively. By practicing apatheia, or freedom from passion, we can attain a state of tranquility and clarity, unhindered by fleeting desires. Number 5. A path to true inner freedom. For someone struggling with compulsive masturbation, Stoic teachings offer a path to true freedom from the chains of addiction and fleeting pleasure. Through conscious self-regulation and mindfulness, we can develop the mental fortitude to resist temptation and cultivate lasting inner peace. This is not about simply refraining from the act, but about reshaping the way we think about desire and pleasure. Consider the story of a man who, after years of struggling with compulsive masturbation, immersed himself in Stoic philosophy. By embracing the Stoic principles of self-control and mindfulness, he transformed his life. No longer a slave to his desires, he found true joy and fulfillment in pursuing meaningful goals and living in harmony with his values. This is the power of Stoic philosophy. It equips us with the tools to confront our weaknesses and emerge stronger, more resilient, and more at peace with ourselves. In conclusion, embrace control and freedom. The Stoics remind us that true satisfaction and contentment come not from indulging every desire, but from mastering them. Compulsive masturbation, like any addiction, can distance us from our higher purpose and prevent us from achieving our fullest potential. By practicing mindfulness and self-discipline, we can regain control over our desires and find deeper, more lasting fulfillment in living a life aligned with virtue and reason. Remember, the path to true inner freedom begins with mastering oneself. Choose today to embrace that freedom.